Vibe Humans, and welcome to another Awakened and Empowered Women's Interview. This is a series that's dedicated to celebrating Women's History Month with women who are making history right now. And I'm really excited because today's guest is a massage therapist and an energy healer, and she just works so hard to help others really heal on multiple levels. So I'm really excited today to have Nicole joining us. This interview is going to dive into 8 questions about how this individual has helped them heal, what they've overcome in order to start their own personal journey. So I'm excited to share this episode with you. I'm going to go ahead and invite her in. My name is Brianna, for those of you that don't know, and I am a holistic mental health dedicated my life to helping people heal one person at a time, one adventure at a time. I had to get my master's in counseling psychology, but that's another story. Hi, Nicole.
Hi. Okay.
I'm so glad that you could join us today.
Same. It's so good to see you. It's been too long.
Too long. That's very true. Yeah, Nicole and I work together on various different side projects, so I'm really happy to dive deep into your professional sphere. So would you mind saying hey to the High Vibe Humans and introducing yourself?
All right. Hello. Hi, Vibe Humans. My name is Nicole. Um, my profession is a massage therapist, and I am also a certified Thai therapist. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. You're coming in loud and clear.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So, what do you want to know?
So you're doing massage therapy. Do you have like a brick and mortar, or do you go to people's houses, or?
So currently, I work in Lapeer, which, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the area, it's probably like an hour and a half, like northwest of Detroit, just to kind of centralize it that way, since a lot of people are kind of familiar with that.
Mhm.
But for those of you that, I've met before, or we've had like a friendship, or, I used to work at a former location and, we are now like, I'm not there anymore. I do go to people's houses too. So it just kind of depends on where we are with our relationship, so to speak.
That's perfect. So you kind of, with people you're more familiar with, you're happy to like negotiate and meet them where they're at.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's obviously for safety reasons why I don't just go to anyone's home. So.
Hmm. So what is Thai therapy?
So Thai yoga massage therapy, the way that it was taught to me through the Native American Indigenous Church is that it's the practical expression of love and kindness. So um, from a practical aspect, it's basically taking the body through different yoga poses and then working on the energy lines as they appear on the body. And it's just a really great way to work with like the youngest of the young to the oldest of the old. Anybody can receive this therapy, and it's a wonderful way to kind of just bring you in touch with yourself. And it's just a little bit more active than
Mm-hmm.
your traditional Swedish massage, which I find can be a little stagnant sometimes. So I like being able to move people and teach them a little bit about the energy lines. Though I'm not super well versed in what each one of them is, I can at least tell you, well, we've got energy lines on the body, and sometimes those energy lines can get blocked. So it's super important that, we bring awareness to them so that way we can move through those blockages together.
So it's a little bit more dynamic than regular massage, but that's kind of a plus because you're helping people get more in touch with their bodies and get to know their own energy lines more.
Correct. And also, it's nice too because not everybody is comfortable with taking their clothes off. So
Oh, mhm.
it is traditionally done on the ground on a mat, and you can leave your clothes on, which is a big plus for some people. So it's nice having a way to meet people wherever they're at in their healing journey.
That's really nice. So, and what's the other form of massage that you're used to working with? Did you say Swedish or?
But that's what I was trained in when I went to Irene's. We're all taught Swedish massage, and then from there there's different there's different modalities that you can explore as well. I took shiatsu, I took Thai while I was there, took hand and foot reflexology, got an intro to craniosacral. Um, and there was a bunch of other ones that I did that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I'm also familiar with hot stone massage. I recently learned how to do cupping, and I know there's so many other things that are out there, and I really want to get into back walking. That's one of those
Ooh.
super curious into doing. So
Yeah, I know that you have like a great frame for back walking. Like if I saw you and I was going for back walking, I'd be like, yes, you can totally walk on my back.
definitely certain parameters that one needs to fall into to
Hmm.
be able to walk on another's back. So thankfully I fall into that, and it'll be fun whenever I get around to it. I don't know if it's still a thing, but the last time I looked, there was a school in Grand Rapids that actually offers a weekend seminar on back walking. So that'd be cool.
Cool. And I know cupping is becoming very popular. My sister got a little training in it because she was like an athletic trainer, and so that she used it a little bit on her athletes.
Yeah, it's super brand new to me. So, from my understanding, it's really good to help with, moving around the lymph, helping to get really deep into something, into like the tissue or whatever, and it really helps to like save our hands and our fingers and whatnot. So, it's a way for that connective tissue to be released in a timely fashion. So, like, from my understanding, like you can leave the cup on there for like 10-15 minutes, and then it works on the connective tissue, and then when you come back to the area, you remove the cup, it's a lot softer versus having
Mhm.
so much mechanical force of like your hands or your elbows, and it just kind of gives your patient the time to let the body do things for itself instead of you forcing it to do something, which can work, but we all know that like the more you force something, the less likely it is to work. So
Right. So it's a little bit easier. I can see how like the body will also work and you work with the body with that technique.
right. So while the cup is in one spot, like let's say it's on your back, then you can work on the arms, the legs, whatever else you need to do. And, it's
Mm.
nice to have that.
Wow, we're getting like a really thorough background on like what you do and like what you're learning. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into like who you are as a practitioner. So what are 5 words that you would choose to describe yourself?
So I was thinking about that beforehand. So give me a second as I grab my notes. Because, like I was really trying to think about it, and I love words, but words, they kind of put you in a little bit of a box, so to speak. So
Mm.
I'm trying to find some words that I think would allow myself a bigger box, so to speak. So
Mhm.
words I kind of came up with was changing. I'm always changing. And I'm sure even like me now versus the me you met like whatever a year ago, maybe, there's still a little bit different versus, the me who I was when my partner and I first met 11 years ago. That me is super different than the me that you see before today. So I think changing or change is like super important word that I want to use for myself, because it's a gift that I think that we all need to be giving each other ourselves, is that the gift of change, and allow us to be always changing, always, we're always in a constant state of change, and that's a good thing. Change is good. Like we need to have.
Mhm.
Um, Another word I came up with was introspective, because I am often up here thinking about almost every interaction that I have, thinking about the words that I use, thinking about, this, that, or another. And like, I'm always up here, which, I am very grateful for the opportunities when I get to meet someone like you who allows those things out here to actually come out here and
Mhm.
share all the things that I've like stored up and all these theories and things that I've synthesized in my head. So it's nice to get out of the introspection and just to actually vocalize to somebody. So I appreciate you for that. Um, multifaceted was another one that I came up with because, we all have those many faces, or, the concept of the many eyes, and yet we are all still the same. So the me you see right now is the same one who may be impatient sitting in the car, who may be just having a bad day, or the me who can't stop laughing at every little thing that happens. We're very multifaceted as humans, which is the next word I was going to come to is just, I'm human. I'm human, so that allows for so much of the rainbow of expression that it means to be a human. So I
Mm-hmm.
had that one. And then I also picked the word channel because as a healer, you are just the channel for whatever source, whatever creator, whatever divine power you believe is out there. You are just the channel for that to come through for people. So when, be it like you giving, your talks, me as a therapist, whatever you are doing, you're being the channel for something else to come through you. And I think that that's a really important because I believe that healing happens through us, not by us. And it's up to you, the person who's receiving, to open your heart, to open yourself to be able to receive it. So, I just say I'm just a channel.
Beautiful. Well said. I love how you're embracing your multifaceted personality, like the fact that, you're how I see you now is different than how you might be 10 minutes from now in traffic, or the fact that you're embracing the constant evolution or the constant change that comes into your life. And really, and it sounds like at the bottom of this, you really truly love yourself in the way that you embrace that changing aspect, that multifaceted nature. And the fact that you're human is kind of like embracing the fact that you understand a large scope of what humans are capable of, which means you understand like what you're capable of. And I think that that's really powerful.
Thank you. And, that whole aspect of like loving yourself, like, even if the Dr. Joe Dispenza says that throughout the day you have over 70,000 thoughts, and a lot of those thoughts are the ones that like are repeating day in and day out. So for a long time, I can be honest that those thoughts inside my head were not those of self-love and kindness towards myself. They were very harsh, very critical thoughts. But I found that, especially since I started doing massage therapy work, going to festivals, meeting people who, were the same as me in a sense, and, we're all the same, and that we've all done things that we're not proud of, and we've all done things that we're like, holy shnikes, like this is like the most amazing thing. Like I deserve to be proud of myself for these things. We're all the same. So when I started changing the way my thoughts were and getting those thoughts of love and compassion to myself, into myself, even on those times when those bad thoughts flitter through, I know that in the farthest reaches of my mind, deep in my heart, there is tremendous amounts of self-love. So when I can tap into that and a love for myself, then it's easier to extend that love to anybody else around me.
Well said. You have people in the comments being like throwing up their heart emojis and saying like stunning, well said. And I can see your introspective nature at work here, where you're able to go inside of yourself and become that observer that's observing your thoughts and then digesting them. And you're taking in like this information from Dr. Joe Dispenza and you're like integrating it into yourself. So I can see how introspection is definitely one of your words.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, who would you say is one of your mentors?
Um, so I was thinking about that, and I have a few. Um,
Nice.
the spiritual realm, I would say Ram Dass is for sure one of those ones, though I've never met him in the physical form. I can definitely still say that he is one of my mentors, as his words have touched me in such a way that I really wouldn't be who I am without finding his works. Um, and just like the little, as I like to call them, kind of like angel crumbs, or like the little trails from like spirit kind of guiding me, the little breadcrumbs to where I
Hmm.
now it all, a lot of it comes back to him. So I'm very, thankful for that, and the whole, love serve remember family, that whole family, that satsang that I know is always out there, and I meet them in the craziest places, and I'm super thankful for that. From a bodywork perspective, my one teacher, her name is Larissa. I'm pretty sure she's still out there teaching at Irene's. As I hope she is. It's been a few years since we've got in contact with each other, but she was super good friends with Irene Gauthier, the founder of Irene's, and I did not get a chance to meet her before she left her body, but everybody said that Larissa was the absolute like closest living thing to Irene that was left. So I was very fortunate to be able to be her demo, or her not her demonstrator, her demo for a lot of her shiatsu classes, and just to feel what 30 plus years of experience felt like it's such a gift. And she gave me so many little words of wisdom to go forth with in my life, and they come out of me at various times, and honestly, like, they're all just like out of my head right now. But I'm sure you've even heard me like at some of our jobs, like you've heard me mention her, and just like the random little things that she has, and the funny little stories she'd tell me. And I'm very thankful for her for that. And some of the things I like to do too on the side is like I love to crochet. I really would like to sew more and do that. And from an artistic perspective, my mentor is Spencer's great aunt. Her name is Deanna.
Oh.
She was, or currently is, I guess, still her own businesswoman. She has her own beading business. She also is a master of crazy quilting. So to have the hands of a master actually teaching you how to sew and take that time to, work on a project with you for a whole winter. And, she always told me, and this kind of translates into anything, I suppose, is that you should enjoy being a beginner. Enjoy the times that you're still stumbling around trying to figure things out. Don't be in a rush to become the master. Enjoy when you're still able to make mistakes. Enjoy all the little things that get you to being the master. And I really really like taking that to heart, because it's so easy to just want to be in that next place, do the next thing, just get to that next place. But right here right now where you are is beautiful. So just enjoy that. Enjoy exactly where you are, even if in your heart you can do more. Enjoy where you are now, because that other part's coming. And once you get there, and at least I know that from certain points in my life, once I'm here in this place, it's like, man, that spot before, that was a lot less crazy, and I kind of miss that. But I'm also happy to be here, right now, with you, and with everybody else who's listening, and just to be here with myself too.
That's amazing, and I love your examples like Ram Dass and like your bodywork mentor, and I think that wisdom definitely comes from people who have experience, and it's nice to be in contact with that wisdom and like let it inform you. But I also like what she was saying about being a beginner. It reminded me of how like when you become an expert or you become a master, sometimes you can accidentally get stuck in a certain frame of mind or like in a box, let's say. When you're a beginner, you're excited to go all these different directions with your art or with your like any type of profession. So it's important to kind of keep that beginner mindset or that openness to different things and ideas. So that's really great advice.
Oh, for sure. Because, like I was saying earlier, with like the words of trying to describe me, once you have a certain title, you kind of, in a sense, you trap yourself into that, and you confine yourself more and more and more and more, and you get so rigid that you can't expand again. But I think it's super important that keep, like you said, keep that beginner mindset of always being able to learn something new, and that no matter what, there's always somebody out there who can teach you something.
Oh yeah, that's totally true.
Hmm.
So let's dive a little bit deeper. Would you mind sharing an experience that was difficult, like whether it was a difficult person or a difficult situation, and how you dealt with it?
Sure. So the one that I wanted to talk about was the one that was most recent in my life that actually got me to the job that I'm at right now. I was working for an individual who didn't value my worth, and I think they could tune into the sense that I wasn't in a place where I was valuing myself the most. And, those around me, they could see that where I wasn't where I needed to be. I wasn't getting the clientele that they had promised. I wasn't making the money that they said I could make. And, you know, I got to a point where I was going to work and hoping like I wouldn't see them. I was going to work and just, feeling not scared necessarily, but I wasn't feeling comfortable to be in that place, to be in that facility anymore. And I felt like, how you talk about the power dynamic, I felt like this individual was really exercising that power dynamic. And it got very uncomfortable, and it got to a point where I needed, some financial help from this individual, and they told me that I could not be living off of their breadcrumbs. And that, to me, being in the place that I was, it it hurt, but at the same time I almost felt like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm not putting in enough effort. I'm not doing this. And I took it all in on me, and I didn't for 1 second hold them accountable for the words that they just spoke to me. Which, in reflection and after I talked to other people about it, they're like, how dare that individual say that to you? Because first off, they hired you to work on their clients. So, yes, I was doing my best to bring in my own clients, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I was trying, I was showing up and doing my thing, but then, my one neighbor, bless her, and I really appreciate her, and Spencer, for really pushing me and pushing me to get out of there, because it was definitely a situation where I had lost any semblance of what my worth was as a person. And they said, how dare you? How dare you let somebody say to you that you only, are getting their breadcrumbs? You deserve more than just the breadcrumbs, honey. You deserve the whole freaking loaf. And ever since then, I have really taken that into account, because so many of us live from this place of lack, or a place of, the opposite of abundance. We live in that scarcity mindset, when, sometimes that's the only frame of mind that we can get into, because that's what's in front of us. We see scarcity because, we're lacking something inside of us, or just, the current state of the world makes us feel like everything is in a state of lack and just craziness, and just, yeah, lack of a better word, like kind of hopelessness sometimes. And I think that I was really sensing that, and just feeling that despair, and just that uncomfortableness, and just that icky feeling inside of me, and that I didn't excuse me, I couldn't remember how to tap into that place that I had remembered from all of my mentors, from being in massage school, that this isn't the only thing that's out there. There's so much more out there, that yeah, you know what, I don't need his breadcrumbs. I went out and I found the thing that would make me happy, and found true abundance, and that I wouldn't have to go chasing after anything. And that's another thing that I learned in that experience, is that, you don't need to go chasing, because the more you chase, the more you force, the more you try, it it's 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 very, I don't know what the word, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for here, but like, the more you chase something, the farther it gets away from you. So
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to make something work, and it wasn't supposed to. And I accept that. And it's funny, because one of the last days I was there, I was looking at my massage therapy, massage and bodywork magazine, and I had flipped open to a page, and I don't remember exactly the way that they phrased it, but basically it was about a situation that it was like a money pit situation with a business, and that you can keep trying and trying all you want, but sometimes some opportunities are just meant to be let go of. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks universe for that one too. And again, like I said, if it wasn't for Spencer and my neighbor really pushing me, because my neighbor knew this individual, she's like, honey, this whole thing he's putting out, it's a facade. Get out of there. And so I did. And here I am now. I'm on the pier and I'm getting booked up and people love me. And, I'm so thankful for having that experience because it taught me what it means for someone to not value you, and now to find my own value in myself again, and to listen to people encouraging me that this is actually what I deserve. So it was a really good experience all around, and I'm thankful for all the people that I worked with while I was there. And just like I said, I'm thankful for the experience because you have to know what feels wrong to be able to get back to the thing that's right.
Well said. And everyone is just loving your perspective here. Like they're really appreciating your openness and like I also like heard a little bit about, how you were valuing your worth and like how when you were told like, oh, you shouldn't live off the breadcrumbs, you're like, oh, you're right. But also how you are tuned into those emotions that you felt like you were kind of hesitant to when you went to work, you wanted to avoid those individuals and that kind of the idea that it was an environment of lack and how now because you know that situation, you know what it feels like to not be valued, you know what it feels like to be in a lack mentality professionally. Now you can see the opposite end of like how people are valuing you in that new space and what that feels like, and you do have to know the darkness to know the light.
Hmm. Yeah, and the way I think of things, that things aren't necessarily good nor bad in a sense. It's more of that it's two sides of the same coin, and we as humans use words to describe things as one way or another. But really, as we're coming around to, like, you can't have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna know true happiness without knowing true sadness. So, it's just everything that we do, everybody we meet, it's all just lessons. It's all just, as like Ram Dass would say, it's grist for the mill. It's that thing that's going to make you be the best version of yourself in the end.
Definitely.
It's important to keep visualizing who you want that to become and allowing yourself to have new versions of that person coming around when you encounter new things. And at the same time, giving yourself grace to be the human that stumbles and falls and has bad days every once in a while. So,
Beautiful. It's well said. Someone also in the comments just said about it's hard to learn to let go with so much grace as we receive. So it's very important takeaway there that you are able to navigate the situation with a lot of grace and integrity and stay authentic to yourself.
and a lot of days that authentic self was just me kind of just going through the motions on a day to day and not really knowing what the next step was, but coming to the point of just trusting that this all has to be for something. This all has to get me somewhere on the other side. Like, I don't know where that other thing is, but I know it'll be something. Like
Mm-hmm.
here now they talk about throwing yourself into the fire and something comes out on the other end. Don't really know what, but something does. So,
Oh, definitely. So do you feel like these difficult experiences help you connect with your clients?
oh, definitely. Um, you know, everything that we go through creates different levels of empathy, I think. And just like when I work with people, I know that who you are when you get on my table with me, like, let's just say if it was me going on the table. I'm 26 years old and however many months. So I have 26 years and let's say 8 months of life and however many hours in that day of life experience before you show up with me right now on that table. Who you are that I see in front of me is, you're a soul with a human body and a human story that is attached to it. So you are somebody who's hurting and you've gone through all these experiences, and to me, I don't care about all that other stuff that you bring with you because I know that's a part of you. And I know that these are things that, maybe we actually do get along around to talking about, in that space. Maybe we don't, but somewhere we're all unpacking ourselves. And sometimes, it happens on the table, it happens off the table, whatever it is. But I know that if I have all these different experiences going in my life, then obviously you who are on my table now, you've had your own life experiences that have brought you to me. And, I thank you for being vulnerable enough to be here with me. So if I want to be in a place where I truly love and don't judge myself, then I can't judge who you are on my table with me because just because, going back to the multifaceted thing, maybe you're just having a bad day. But I know that, if you're a little lippy with me or you just have this thing that's kind of hanging over you, that's not who you are. That's just, who you are in that moment because of X, Y, and Z that happened before you got to me. It's not personal. That's just how you showed up today. And hopefully, what we do together, opens your heart back up to be able to go about your day afterwards in a little better of a way. So I guess the long answer to your question is that everything I've gone through has allowed me to remember that everybody has a story. Everybody has conflict. Not everybody's had the resolution to the conflict yet, but we've all gone through so many things that, you know, it's unfair to judge anybody by who they are in that moment of time when you see them because, you know, we're all just human. We're all stumbling through life the best that we can. And to have somebody in your life that gives you permission just to be as you are in that moment and just receive love.
Nicole, that's what I appreciate about you, hearing your stories of how you work with your clients. You like give them a little bit of education, and you like, especially clients that you've known for a long time, you kind of do get to know that person, instead of just like, all right, I'm here, I'm doing my job, I'm massaging my clients, and then they leave. You're actually getting to know them, taking that time, fostering that really like compassionate environment, that healing space, and allowing people to feel safe, not only on a physical level, but also on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level.
Sure. And there is something I wanted to to share like that kind of goes along with that. Like when you work with me, and like I learned this both at Irene's and through Thai massage, is that there's a very special something that we do in the beginning, something that we do in the end, and it's called puja, and that's thing that it's basically how you set the intention for the entire session. It's a prayer for you, for myself, for pretty much the whole world. And the way I do it is, we put one hand goes up on the cervical vertebrae, the seventh cervical, the other one goes down on your sacrum. And then I say, all right, let's start today with a few deep breaths together. And while we're in that space together, the way that puja works is that you acknowledge the space that you're in. You give thanks to the space for being there, for being allowed to, work with people. And then, you give thanks to the individual on your table. You give thanks to the lineage that follows you. And, you give thanks to Creator for being able to allow you to be in that space with that person. And then you clear house. This is like the most important part is that, yes, I've got all my stuff that I'm coming here with, but it's that practice of I clear it out. Is it something that needs to be dealt with now? If the answer is no, we leave it behind. It doesn't come up. Granted, obviously sometimes, things do cross the mind, but the intention is that whatever's going inside of me can stay out for a little while because I need to be the best channel I can for you. And then at the end, you just kind of connect and you pray and you just wish for the best possible outcome for yourself, for them, and then you go about your business. And all of that, it takes more time to explain it than for it to actually happen. But it's just something that's really important that I think, people say that when they work with me, it's different. And I think it's because of the way I was taught that you need to start your session and the intention that you hold when you go into it, and that's the difference because yes, I'm very thankful I can do this job for money, but I think it goes so much deeper than just that, and people We are so disconnected from ourselves for one reason or another, and from, other people, that to have somebody be in that space with you and reach out and touch you and open yourself back up to that, reconnecting people to themselves, I think is my part of my journey for right now, is just helping you get to that place, because I wouldn't be me without that. And I know what it's like to be disconnected, and I know what it's like to feel connected, and I wouldn't trade that connected feeling for anything. It's beautiful. I love it, and I want everybody else to feel that way too.
That's so beautiful. And I know that like you've worked a long time really hard at being able to create that kind of space, and you've done a lot of introspection and working on yourself in order to be your best self and understand when you need to put certain feelings aside so that you can show up for your clients. So what would you say is your greatest fear, and how do you mitigate that?
So I think they kind of falls like two in one with this. Not being good enough, and that
Mm.
to, my fear of abandonment, are like my two like big bugaboos, or two of my biggest ones, I should say. Um, and honestly, each day when those feelings come up, it kind of looks a little different, just depending. Um, and it comes back to, that self-love that we were talking about. And, you know, when it comes to, my physical self, going out and just doing a light workout, putting on an outfit that makes me feel good, doing my makeup, and just, doing things for myself, purely for myself, and not caring about what anyone else thinks about it, and just remembering to do the things that make me feel good and bring me back to me. If it's listening to my favorite album that I've heard a bajillion times, I'm going to do that. If it's dancing around all silly in my pajamas, I'm going to do that. It's just my biggest fear is just not being good enough. And then I realized as time goes on, and as people have come in and out of my life, is that you serve a purpose for people in that time that you're with them, as they serve a purpose for you in that amount of time that they're there for you. My dad, he always told me, he's like, your friends will come and go, but your family is forever. And being an adopted child, I'm very grateful that like my mindset, and especially going to the festivals and stuff, that your concept of family changes when nobody who's like your blood relative, who's your blood, exists on this continent for all you know. So my perspective of family has changed, and it's hard to be quote unquote good enough for everyone, because you're not. It's impossible. It creates this thing of um, being a people pleaser, and then you lose who you are, and it's not healthy. It's not okay, because I've gone down those paths before of just trying to be good enough for everyone, and then I completely lose myself. And I
Yeah.
think the last few years, as more and more people have gone from my life, I release them with love, and I'm very thankful for the lessons I learned from them and the space that they held in my life at that time. But there's nothing wrong with people not being able to be there anymore in your life. And it's taught me to be good enough for myself, because at the end of the day, all I have is myself. So, you know, being okay with who I am right now, through whatever means I have to do to get myself to be okay with me, that's how I mitigate that. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, I've understood that no matter what, like, I have creator with me at all times. I have all these spirit guides that roam with me at all times. I have the memories of times with people with me at all times. So, in a sense, like, I'm never alone. You're never alone, because you have all these things that you can tap into if you so choose to remember to. And being alone is a good thing. I've learned to love the company of my own self. And, the massage room is a great place to do that because, yes, you are with somebody, but more times than not, you're just kind of not talking for hours throughout the day. And, that's a good thing. It's good to be able to get comfortable with the thoughts inside of your mind and to be able to turn them into thoughts of love and kindness and compassion and forgiveness of the self.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's so well said. And the idea that there is a difference between loneliness and embracing solitude and embracing that idea that, like, you have to be comfortable with yourself and you don't need external validation or external stimulation in order to feel safe. Feeling safe with yourself is a gift in of itself. And I think not being good enough is a very relatable fear for a lot of people, and I love how you point out that there are certain, like, intellectual ideas that you keep in mind, that you're not able to please everyone. And that if you're not feeling good enough, you go to your coping mechanisms, which are things that make you feel good about yourself, no matter what anybody else thinks about you. Like dancing or like getting dressed up in something that makes you feel good. I think that those are also important things to remember, and just being able to be comfortable in your own skin, and like you said earlier, tap into that core being of self-love and draw upon that when you can is really important.
Hmm. And, doing those things that make you feel good, it's like that fire inside of you. You need to feed that fire. But no matter what, there is going to be that tiny little ember that's in there. Even if you think it's all gone, there is still something in there. And you just have to remember to feed that thing. Um,
Hmm.
One of the biggest things I like didn't mention, but journaling is super important. And I've found that if I'm going through a really rough, you know, neurotic cycle in my head, I just have to write it down and then I burn it. I just give it back to source and say, "Here, please take this from me because I don't want that going on in here anymore. Please just take it from me." And for the most part, like, fire is your friend. Fire is your friend. It is the thing that it will destroy something but turn it into something good. It turns it into warmth. It turns it into, whatever that might be. But I like fire for that reason. I like that, because they say, like, energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And, you turn that thing that you got, that negative thing on the page, it gets, transformed into something beautiful, and you allow it to come back to you as needed.
Yeah, it's a great, like, physical exercise of releasing. Definitely something that it's like a visual and physical exercise to help release a mental thought. You get it out and then you can literally release it. So I know that changing and your multifaceted self, those are like the one of the a couple of your 5 words that you chose. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So I that was another one of those ones, and, like, honestly, like, I don't really know, to be
Hmm.
totally truthful. But, in 5 years, I'll be 31. So by that point, I would like to think that, if I'm gonna go down the route of, having a family and whatnot, I'll be at that place by now, by then. But, I just see myself just hopefully traveling the world. If, I'm still doing body work, that's cool too. But, maybe I'll be back in school because that is kind of something I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to get back into finishing my bachelor's in psychology and kind of going down that, more clinical route, which I had avoided for a really long time just because I didn't really fully understand the benefits of what research can do. And there's some things out there that I would like to pursue that, are up in the ethers at the moment. I'm kind of waiting for them to come back to me in a way that is serving to me when the time is right. So, honestly, in 5 years, I hope I'm just still here. I hope
Yeah.
I'm able to just, keep the smile on my face and, going around and meeting beautiful people, traveling, seeing the world, and just whatever spirits got in store for me, I kind of embraced that. And, you know, I used to be able to be like, yeah, that, you know what? I would be doing this, 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 and this. And then that usually doesn't happen. So I'm going to more say, you know what? 5 years from now, I want the universe to surprise me. Let me be in a better place than or different place than where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said better, but then I kind of checked myself because, every place that you're in is a good place if you want it to be. So,
I think that's a really important like takeaway for the high vibe humans because you have to first acknowledge and be grateful for where you're at right now and one of my beliefs is in order for the universe to gift you something new and more opportunities is to just appreciate where you're at right now.
because, like Ram Dass says, like Alan Watts says, like all these other beautiful teachers say, is that right here, right now, you have every single tool that you need to be able to become that next version of yourself. But you just have to be able to be in touch with that. And, this world is very uh, well built for us to be very distracted and to say, you know what, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. You know what, timing's not right. We're just gonna keep waiting. And I've fallen into that time and time again. And you know what? We all get to that place. But the important thing is to remember and go back to that state of like, you know what? I got this. Right now, I can do this. And, Ram Dass says, the fact that, and I paraphrase here, he says, the fact that you're even awake at all is a gift. This journey is about falling asleep and waking up over and over and over again. So be grateful that you came up for air at all. So
Hmm.
if, those moments of, coming up for air, those moments of remembering, they don't happen very often, that's okay. Be grateful you're having them at all. And then build on that when you have that time and you have that feeling and you know what that's like. Remember that. And just remember that if I was there once, I can get back there again. And don't worry about the timing of when it happens. Like, it's all going to work out in whatever timing is meant for you.
Yeah, it kind of connects back to what you were saying earlier about, if you're constantly trying to make something work or you're constantly reaching for something, it's going to feel further and further away. And that kind of goes true for when you're not enjoying the moment and you're not embracing where you're at right now. And you keep pining for, oh, I wish this was better, wish this was better. But taking that time to be okay in your asleep state and know that when the next time you're awake, you're going to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, what do you think is the key to your success?
Being okay with failing, I think, is the most
Mm.
important. Being okay with, I know I can do so much more, but this is just where I'm at right now. And, I think that especially, with my business, I'm just now starting to get a glimpse of uh what success can look like. So I think that the important thing is like when you start to see success, the expression don't count your chickens before they hatch. You got to keep working on these things. You got to keep being consistent with these things, or else, you'll only ever get a sliver of what true success can look like. But again, every day you're going to have to show up for yourself exactly as you are. And every day you're not going to be on the top of that mountain and being, the most successful person in the world. But, I think the real key to success is just to keep on going, and that remembering that you have a goal that you want to see, and except for when you fail. Because I really don't think that failure exists. I think true failure only exists when you've completely given up on yourself and you've accepted a lower version of yourself and you stop trying. That's when
Wow.
the only true failure comes in, is when you completely stop. But that's not to say that you can't get back up and try again later. But I think that's the only time when you ever really truly fail is when you completely stop, you shut down, and you are truly, truly, truly asleep. That's the only time I think that you really ever fail. But again, that's not saying that you can't have something that pokes you in the butt and says, hey, time to get going, you know? So
Very true.
I think the key to success is just to keep on going no matter what and be okay with you not being the best version of yourself that you can be in every single moment. So that's what
And you actually, someone in the comments said, when you accept failure, it ceases to exist as failure. And you literally said, like, I don't think failure exists. And I think that somebody who works towards success honestly has a healthy relationship with failure, like you were describing, like that you understand that failure is an opportunity, that you understand that you can don't accept yourself as this lower state, accept it, understanding that like that lower state isn't necessarily you, it's just an opportunity for growth.
right. Right. And like, and in reflection, I just introspected there for a second. Like, I don't know if like the one thing I just said was like kind of harsh or whatever, but I do think that it's very easy for us to accept that lower version of ourselves when the people around us are also okay with that lowest version of whatever this is. And I think that, another key to success is being around other people who are aiming at success. Because if you're around people who settle for mediocrity and settle for a lesser version of what you want, you become the people you're around. So if you want to be successful, start hanging around people that are successful and learn from them.
Mhm.
So
That's very true. That point that you make, I think, is a really important point where, separate yourself from people who accept your mediocrity, from people who kind of want to keep you there too. They want, there are certain individuals, I listen to like some self-help motivational speakers, and a lot of them say that like well-intentioned friends and family and lovers will try to keep you safe, and they'll try to do it out of like love for you because they don't want to see you get hurt, and what they think or assume is a risk that you take when you try to strive for success, because a lot of people do have this fear of failure or have an unhealthy mental concept about failure. And so I think that it's important, like you said, to surround yourself with people who are also striving towards success, but who also have a healthy relationship or understanding of what failure can actually mean.
yeah.
So, with your massage therapy and working with clients, um, do you think that this mentality really helps you work with your clients and helps you keep going?
Oh, for sure. It's for me, like, I just have to remember why I started doing this in the first place. Why I even like wanted to tap back further. Why I wanted to be in psychology in the first place. Like I always just wanted to help people, and to be a successful helper, you got to be successful in just being yourself first. And we all have different pieces of the same puzzle, and we're all just saying like, oh, here my piece fits here, and maybe your piece fits in with my piece, and we all just have these different things to share. So when it comes to being a therapist, if you and I don't jive together, I didn't fail, I'm just not the right person for you. That's okay, I've accepted that. And I just think that just having the mindset that you're not always going to be the right fit is it's important, but you are going to be the right fit for some people, and just knowing that you're allowed to take little bits and pieces from everyone that you've ever encountered to allow you to be the best version of yourself. So I hope that answers.
Beautiful. That was really well said. Yeah, definitely. Like the idea that, if you don't really fit your client, it's not necessarily a reflection on you as a person. It just means that that's an opportunity for that client to find somebody that really fits with them. And that goes into counseling too, as well, like psychology and a lot of other professions. If I'm not a good fit for you as a counselor or a therapist, then I'll refer you to someone that I think you might vibe with more because I want you to have that healing opportunity.
Right.
And I might not be that personality that you click with, you know?
Hmm. And that's okay. There's like what, over 6 billion people. You're not going to be the fit for all 6 billion. It's
Even though we want to be, but you know.
even though, a lot of us say, like, a lot of the things that I've been saying, I'm literally parroting the things that I've either read, heard, or whatever. But I think the important thing is that we each synthesize that information, and we speak it in a way that makes sense to us, because then maybe that next person, they'll hear what they said, look into it, and they synthesize it in a way that's meaningful to them.
Mhm. Well, thank you, Nicole, for sharing everything.
Yeah.
There's lots of high vibe humans tuning in right now, and they're throwing up their heart emojis, and they're definitely vibing with what you have to say. So, if somebody wanted to connect with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Go ahead, shout out your social medias.
Honestly, I feel like the only social media I'm kind of using right now is my Instagram, right here. I mean, I have my Facebook. It's my first and last name, so Nicole Mustakis, LMT. But yeah, I just kind of I've been having this strange disconnect, honestly, recently with social media. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess like my Instagram's kind of like the best place to reach out to me, and we can talk there. And then if we're able to meet in, the physical space, that's awesome too. Like I said in the beginning, I'm out in the pier at Intuitive Touch. I think I might be able to get a hold of Breezy, and we can put my business in the comments or something, or maybe in the description, post this.
Mhm.
However, so if you want to, connect with me there, that's cool too. Thank you. So yeah, that's just kind of it. And then, I hope I get to meet as many of you as I can in the physical space. And, if you ever wanted to just chat with me on Instagram, we can do that too. And yeah.
Yeah, you're a very comfortable person to chat with. And like you said earlier, you do a lot of introspection. So it's really nice when you have the opportunity to share that information and speak it out through your throat chakra.
Hmm. Yeah, according to, this one astrology that I kind of follow along with, like, this year is the year of my throat. So really learning how to just speak, and, learning how to say what you need to say in that moment, and know that it's not going to make everybody happy, but you say it. And you know what? Sometimes in those moments when, you're not making everybody happy, maybe it's an opportunity for that person to look inside themselves, and they kind of realize, like, why did I get triggered by that? Because really, we're all just mirrors for each other. We're reflecting back different things to each other. So, you know, that one thing you said could be an opportunity for somebody. So,
True. True. That's so true. Well, thank you so much for sharing and for connecting. And I look forward to talking with you again outside of social media. But and let's just say bye to the high vibe humans. And thank you so much again for joining us.
having me, and I love you, and I cannot wait to see you out, outside of this. But I'm so happy to see your beautiful, beautiful face
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Nicole.
out there. Bye.
Bye.